Thank you for listening and supporting the Daily Memphian. Sign up for one of our many free newsletters and breaking news alerts at dailymemphian.com/email to receive the latest local news stories impacting our community. Our weekly newsletters cover everything from sports to arts and culture, business, food, and more, along with daily updates of all the news we publish each day. Sign up or manage your email preferences at dailymemphian.com/email.
I'm Bill Dries, reporter for the Daily Memphian. Our guest is Memphis City Council member Patrice Robinson, and this is On the Record. We record this on Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. Councilwoman, our topic is the ice storm. You are chairwoman of the Memphis City Council's Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Committee. First of all, as a council member, tell me what your calls have been like for not quite a week, but most of the last week.
So my staff and I have gotten many calls from people who need their utilities turned on. They were having problems calling in, just from one thing to the other. But the real issue is I want my utilities on, and I understand that. So when they called me on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, I had to say the same thing. My lights were out and it was cold. My husband wouldn't allow us to leave home and go to a hotel. He said, we're going to tough it out here. Mm-hmm. We have an insert in the fireplace. We burnt the fire, used the firewood that we had. We cooked in the fireplace. We cooked on top of the fireplace. We brought a bed in our great room and shut off the rest of the house. We were able to keep the house between 58 and 62 degrees in the room where we were in. But it was grueling. I do not want to go back to my camping days.
Right. So when the council gets together this coming Tuesday, what are the discussions about this going to be like, do you think?
So the chairperson of the committee is Chase Carlisle. He has already asked that they do a storm update, but I asked that MLGW not only give us an update from the storm, but talk to the council members, and thereby they are talking to the citizens about how they prioritize their work in a storm and in an emergency. We had several citizens who didn't understand why they weren't turned on at the same time as another neighborhood that may have been just across the street or around the corner. You know, why did they make the decisions that they made? But they are based on a priority list for emergencies. And the third thing that we'll be discussing next Tuesday, and that's this coming Tuesday, we ask that they talk to us about their lessons learned from this storm. You know, it's good to give us an update about what happened, where their priorities were or are. Well, what have you learned from the process, and what do we need to do to improve moving forward? And I have recognized over time that we have a lot of trees and we've got to deal with those trees, but we also have to take some responsibility as citizens. If trees are on your property and you know they need to be trimmed, cut down, or they're dead, you need to make sure that those things are done as well in our community. We've got to work this thing together so we all can live happily in our own community with utilities in the midst of any storm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the council has had these discussions periodically. A year ago at this time, we had about 5 to 6 inches of snow on the ground. We had the Light, Gas, and Water's first ever boil water order for the water supply. So the council has had these discussions before. Do you think that the priority system that the utility has works, or are there perhaps room for at least talking about some changes in how they go about restoring power?
I believe that it actually works. However, That's why it's really important for them to share with us what their lessons learned are, because they better know what happened, where the outages were, what happened this time. And they had a little, usually when we have ice storms and the trees break the line, but we had lines that were snapping with just ice on them, and it wasn't any tree around them. And that was a little more than they've had in the past. And it's just been a little different because it was so much more. But the infrastructure and talking about infrastructure is so important. And I hear the people who are saying to us, we need to be, worried about conserving our atmosphere, our air, our water, and so forth. And it's all important, but how do we do it together in a way that we all have some benefit of it? And I do believe that MLGW is making every effort to make sure that our lights are on. They called in other utility companies to help. And, they might not be as quick or as swift as our people because they don't know the lay of the land like we do, but they know the work. So we're really excited and appreciative of their help. And we need to work on this together. We really need to continue to work together. MLGW has asked us for the funds. We have approved the funds over a 5-year period. And I think we're in the second year to improve the infrastructure. I believe that we're on point, and we will find out on Tuesday in the update. And I'm sure council members are going to ask, where we, during that update, where we are on that process of making sure that we do the changes that need to be made in our system to improve our infrastructure. I'm really excited. I know that the storms and last year and the storm this year may have set them back a little, but we need to know what is our current timeline. And that's important to citizens to know. I was concerned that the schools had to be closed because I know the priorities from working there, that getting the hospitals, healthcare facilities up first, and the schools should be second. But evidently there were some schools and they were evidently had some individual problems at those schools because they weren't in line with other, things going on in the area. So they had some several cases where, something just happened at a particular location. But I had hoped that everyone would be up by now. It's going to take us a full week, it's my understanding. So I just hope and pray that everybody is patient and that we consider what's going on with other people's lives so that they will have heating and have food, and especially hot food. TVA gave me a call and said, what can we do for your community? And I said, we need generators and we need hot food. But they helped us set up a warming station in one of our churches in the Whitehaven area, so they would have to travel to Hickory Hill. And they provided hot meals, cots, and slumber bags, so that and sanitation, like masks and hand sanitizer and so forth, so that they would be in a safe place while we waited out the storm. So they had a place to be warm and have some hot food too. And I appreciate TVA for that work. MLGW, TVA are working well together, and all the utility companies that we have agreements with have really come to the table and been respectful, helpful, and the citizens are appreciative.
And I know that this has come up numerous times, that the subject of, well, why don't you just have the utilities underground? And you all got a price estimate on this more than several years ago that was kind of jaw-dropping. I think it was in the ballpark of $3 billion to take utilities underground.
I think it's now 5 or 6.
Okay. All right.
But let me share this. That is not the cure-all, because I have underground utilities, and I just told you my lights were out. So it depends on, I guess, the feed, where it's coming into and where the problem is. So the underground did not make a difference.
in your case, and yeah.
And there's some other people that had underground that went out as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the cases where a tree might have fallen or the power line dropped and it came off on the customer's side of the connection, of course that they have to call an electrician in that case before light, gas, and water can hook them back up again. Is there any discussion, do you think, of some kind of assistance for people who might need that? I mean, someone who might have bought their house or might be renting their house, and they've never looked at that before, and all of a sudden it gets ripped out from the house, and it's like, okay, I've never called an electrician before in my life. Should there be some kind of city help for that?
So since we have asked that it be declared an emergency, hopefully we'll get some emergency dollars. It's my understanding that Congressman Cohen on yesterday sent a letter to our governor asking him to declare an emergency so that we can get some FEMA dollars to help people in that area as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I am excited to know that we are coming together as elected officials to support citizens. People who live in rental property, the person who owns that property, it's their responsibility to make sure that those repairs are made and not the person living in that property. But hopefully, if we're able to get those FEMA dollars, and I do know for a fact that when we're declared that we was an emergency, we will be able to get those dollars and be able to help citizens. I also have been in contact with Robert Connect, and he is asking citizens, if you had storm damage or tree damage, your fence fell or whatever, put it all in a different stack, and you might want to put a label on it so they'll know, so that they know, will we send crews out for the storm damage, that it can be paid for with those funds. So we want to identify what it is and how we as citizens can help in the process as well.
So it sounds like that there might be a way for homeowners to be reimbursed for this.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we can get it done where if we can, yes. And it may be that the city can do the work and the city be reimbursed, but we're working on that as we speak.
All right. A final point. Yesterday at the county commission meeting, Commissioner Tammy Sawyer said something that I think might hit home with a lot of people. And that was, she said, at this point that she thinks that this is a regular occurrence. We're a year out from the boil water advisory and the storm that came in with it. It's a year later, and here we are with this. Is this becoming something that is a chronic condition for us because of the infrastructure, or is this just luck of the draw in terms of nature doing its thing, do you think?
I think that this is just luck of the draw of nature doing its thing. Do you remember when we had the straight line winds? I think they called it the Elvis storm here in Memphis.
Yeah, Hurricane Elvis.
Yes, I was working for MLGW at that time downtown. It was very grueling cold, and we had a long period of ice in our community. And I think I don't know if this storm was worse. I think that was, but it has been happening more often. And I don't know if it has anything to do with global warming or it's just Mother Nature. Mm-hmm. Now, Mother Nature can do whatever it wants to, and we can work to, fend off and do the best we can to protect our equipment. But there are going to be times that there is nothing we can do but repair what has been done by Mother Nature.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's where we'll leave the conversation for now. Our guest has been Memphis City Council member Patrice Robinson. I'm Bill Dries, and this has been On the Record.
In-depth journalism in the Memphis community, The Daily Memphian is of Memphis, not just in Memphis, and seeks to tell the stories of this city. TheDailyMemphian.com. Truth in place.